right, everyone. Today we're going to talk about wood wall covering. And Dennis, last time I was with you, we talked about wood wall covering, but we have a bunch of different styles of Phillip Jeffries. Some of them are larger scale, but some of our most popular, things like yacht club, things like palazzo, things like fretwork, are a little bit more complex. They have small pieces and large patterns. Is that a little bit more complicated to hang?
Certainly, particularly the larger it gets, the more pieces there are. These pieces tend to have a mind of their own as to what direction they want to go in.
So Dennis, those large pattern wood veneers, the ones with have some of the smaller pieces, they're a little bit more complicated, a little bit more difficult to hang than some of the larger scale, aren't they?
Certainly, mainly because there's many more pieces going in different directions, and they tend to have a memory of their own as to how they want to lay, and that fights you unless you take a few precautions.
So Dennis, walk me through, what's one of the first steps when we get one of these great items like the yacht club, where it's a wood veneer, laser cut, hand placed down? What is one of the first things I do with this wood veneer wall covering?
So the very first thing you need to do is moisten this. And by doing that, I don't mean flooding it, just very lightly go over the entire back of it. I roll it up, stand it up on the side, let it sit there 10-15 minutes. And at that point, once you wait for the booking of that, the difference when you put that on your table is the sheet will be laying perfectly flat. So you've already taken care of half of the battle.
So that step one is we're going to moisten. What's step two?
Step two, you can now proceed to pasting the material. We use clay on this, and the reason I do that is because clay is the driest of the adhesives. So I've already put moisture into the sheet. I really don't need to add more.
So for wood veneers, clay is king. If not, go low moisture. All right, so we moistened, we book. What's the next step?
Well, once we paste and book it, that you want to go 5, maybe 8 minutes with that.
So when we are booking it, we're overlapping it, but again, we're not making a tight fold. You're just going to let it overlap, right? So that way we're not creasing the wall covering.
Exactly. And at that point, we're ready to install.
So when we install it, any particular tools we want to use or tools we want to avoid?
I always use a smoothing brush. Other people may use a plastic smoother. I call them squeegees. With wood veneers, you need to be careful because many of them have points, similar to here. And if you run that plastic along it, you run the possibility of lifting up one of those points. So I always use a brush to lay it down. If I then need to go over it, I'll take either my broad knife or one of those plastics, wrap it in a microfiber towel, and then just very easily run down the sheet with it.
Great info there on how to install these wood veneer wall coverings with the ornate pattern really well. But let's talk about the situation. Hey, somebody jumped in. Maybe they didn't read the full directions, or maybe they did, and they still ran into a couple of obstacles. Let's talk about the fix. If it's popping, like we discussed, if it's bubbling a little bit, what does the installer do to fix the situation? What's step one?
The first thing to do is just to try to moisten the front of that.
Yep.
Get your seam roller out.
Yep.
And roll on that, and it may just be enough to flatten it to the wall, and you're done, fixed.
All right, so we're gonna moisten, we're gonna blot, seam roller. What if they're still having some issues?
Well, sometimes, you got to do a little bit more. And after you do the first couple steps, if you need a little bit more help,
right,
I always get on my trusty old Hika. Same idea, if you blot it, and if you think about it, you could get the heat to work into the wood much quicker than just letting the air dry that.
What if the heat gun didn't work? Is there anything else I could do?
Well, if you think about it, what you have there is a bubble of air.
Yes.
So you're rolling it, you're heating it, you're wetting it, and it's really not doing the trick, mainly because the air is still trapped behind there.
Got it.
So if you make a tiny little relief cut, and I always go along the grain of the wood so you don't see it.
Go right along the grain there.
Absolutely. And do all the other steps, you're actually then going to roll the air out of the little cut that you made.
I love that.
And the tendency is that you've just then gotten it through. That usually solves the problem when you get to that step.
Yes, but there's also a super trick he taught me behind the scenes. Should I share?
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, if you get to that point, you're still having some issues. Maybe the wall wasn't primed right. Maybe there's some other potential issues. Once you do that relief cut, add a little bit of adhesive, and then you can use the seam roller. Yes?
Well, you know, all installers think they're artists, right? So they all have little artist brush.
Artist brush. I'm sorry. So that's what you're using. You can use your artist brush, put a little adhesive, and between those steps, even if you run into an issue, we're going to save the day.